Hey, so it's Craig from Abyzz, and I'm over here in Germany with my great colleague Sasha, and he's going to help me understand a little bit more about maintaining these pumps. Obviously, you've got an awesome 10-year warranty, but we want to help you fix them if you need to, or, well, I say fix them, maintain these guys for as long as you need to. We're going to go through all of the bits and bobs. Hopefully I'm going to ask you some questions you'll know the answer to. Things that I come across every now and then, because unfortunately with anything that moves, it needs to be looked after here and there, because we do put some horrible water through some of these things. So yeah, let's have a look. So here we have our little A120. It was the A100, but now it's the A120. It's 12 volts, and we have the splash proof, should I say, IP65 driver for these. So I've never taken one of these apart before. It's one of those things, they do last a very long time, and they do run for a long time, but you've got to look after it. How'd you get it open?
We have this bayonet ring that is holding the Americans say volute cover,
Yeah.
We say pump head. So I would go with pump head if that's okay. So
Do you know, I think the difference between British and English, we would say volute as well, but hey,
oh, really?
Semantics, yeah.
Okay.
Sorry about that. Right, so what have you got to do to get that off?
Twist it using the outlet and twist it against the
Okay, so that's super easy.
Right?
So it's just literally a twist and then pull it off.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
So then we have the impeller or impeller wheel. You have to check it for any obstacles, foreign objects, cracks.
Kind of standard stuff there, isn't it? You know, stones and bits of sand or whatever, or even snails might get stuck
right.
in there. We've seen many a snail come through service. It's one of those things you've got to take it apart to have a look. It might run for 6, 8, 10, 20 years, but yeah, please take them apart to clean them every now and then. So in order to do that, what have we got to do to get the rotor out and clean the insides? What's next?
Yeah, get rid of that O-ring real quick, and then if you can twist the impeller, that's a good sign. If not, you can be pretty sure that there's some calcification going on inside.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why we are doing this video.
And at that point, you know, if you can't turn the impeller wheel, and this is super smooth, like silky smooth spinning around here, that's where you'd give it a good soak in Abyzz magic powder.
Yes.
Before. So if that won't move at all, you're definitely going to have to do that, right?
Yeah, you can give it a try to remove the impeller, the rotor unit as it's called. If that won't work, soak it first in magic powder, for example. That would be the best. And then try again later, if you have the time. You need a flat screwdriver, and with the A100 or 120, you only have one position where you can get the screwdriver below the impeller, and that's this window.
Okay, so you have a little cutout just there,
yes,
and that's where you want to put the screwdriver through.
Exactly. Because you have only one screwdriver, you have to use your hand or your finger to push against this direction, so you can have the force be in like 90 degrees.
I see, yeah.
That way. Otherwise, the impeller would be bent to one side, and that's of course not good. Right. So this,
supporting it on the way out as you lever it with the screwdriver.
Exactly. So with this pump, as it's brand new, this is of course pretty easy. So now the A shield, as it's called, this black disc shaped part, has popped out of the motor block, and then you can grab the impeller with your fingertips, then
you just pull them out.
Pull it out. There goes the
so
radial bearing.
The radial bearing. So that's what the impeller shaft is spinning on, and I guess if you've played with regular pumps before, you might not necessarily be familiar with those bearings. So what's that doing in the back of the pump?
Of course, the rotor has to be held in position, and you have the shaft going all the way through, so you need at least 2 spots where the rotor can spin in.
And is it quite common that if you pull the impeller out, the bearing will come out with it?
Yes, on the A100/A120, it will come out like in 9 out of 10 cases.
Okay. I guess it's probably because it's a new one, it comes out quite easy, but once you've got some crust and crud in there, it's going to want to stick maybe.
Exactly.
So that's the back one. And is that the front one in the side there?
Yes, that's the exact same part.
This little O-ring here, that's not for sealing it, is it?
Right, the only sealing O-ring is the red one, like on all our return pumps.
Yeah.
There's only one O-ring on each pump that has a sealing function, and that's always red. Well, it used to be black on this model as well, but well, we changed that.
Bearing wise in the back, which way round? Does it matter which way it goes?
Yes,
or?
that's very, very important.
Okay, so which way's it got to go?
We say O-ring first. So the O-ring heading towards the motor block.
Yeah.
This way.
So
not other way around.
Small screwdriver, that's okay to use a small screwdriver to put it in there like that?
Yeah, something that can go to the bore of the bearing.
Okay.
And
I
then,
see there's a little slot down there for the bearing to sit into.
so you can let it slip in and pre-position it.
And that's going O-ring first into the bottom?
Yeah, very important.
Okay. And is that the same on all of the pumps? It goes O-ring first?
Yes, definitely. We actually use that tool to push the bearing back into its seat, as long as the grip of the tool is not from metal. You cannot damage the bearing, so you can actually knock it in, because it's very important that it is deep enough.
When the pump's running, I know they've got a flushing channel inside, and fortunately here's one I laser cut, water cut earlier. I don't know whether it's water cut, laser cut or what, but this is a big one and I can see the channel at the back there. What's that for?
That's to flush the whole interior of the pump, so to get rid of calcium deposit, the right term.
It'd be lubrication for the rotor.
Exactly,
right?
yeah, right.
Okay.
So the bearings are sliding bearings.
So that's what the flushing channel's for in the back. Obviously, we don't want any calcification or anything in there. So that's where using your Abyzz magic powder comes in, because you can stick it in a bucket, make up the solution. I think it makes 10 litres, more than enough to do a few pumps with. You can basically just dissolve all of the rubbish that's in there whilst having the pump run very slowly and run through those flushing channels, which goes over the impeller.
Yeah, and that's why it's so important to keep it free. So you can actually use compressed air. That's like a pro tip. So if you have the opportunity to use that, I would recommend that.
And do you think in service you see lots of pumps that have never been cleaned or flushed out?
Definitely, yeah.
I've had many customers, I know I've told you this before, say, oh, I've had an Abyzz pump for 8 years and I've never cleaned it.
Yeah.
And it just makes me think,
I'm always hearing
I hope that channel's clean. So if you do have an Abyzz pump and you are running it and you've never cleaned it, you now know how to get it out, and please use your Abyzz magic powder to clean it out. What else do we need to know disassembly wise, or is that pretty much it? That's, as a user, the only things you could change?
Yeah, disassembly wise, that's actually it. Just a few things to check on. It's like if the front bearing is spinnable with the A shield.
Yep.
So it should be, loose.
So there's a bit of free play there.
Yeah, right.
Okay, and that's normal.
Oh yeah, definitely. If that bearing won't spin with the A shield while turning it, you can be sure it is, the gap inside is filled with line scale, and that's of course bad.
So if let's say a snail's gone through and this thing has destroyed the impeller wheel, how do we change the impeller wheel? I know this one's the only one we don't have a screw on it, so what do we do with this one?
Right, yeah, you have to actually break it off because it's glued to the shaft.
Okay.
You have to purchase a new one and then use special glue.
And is that something we would do as a service item, or is it something a consumer can do? To be honest, I don't see many impeller wheels for the A120 going out, so that's kind of okay. So we'd recommend that customers would send them back to us to change that if they ever did need to change that part.
Yeah, because they won't be happy with the results if they would try it on their own.
Cool, good
to be honest. I know that. I experienced that a lot of times.
Now we know. And all of this is titanium, isn't it? The magnet casing here is all titanium.
Yes.
There's no...
Except for the shaft, everything you see that looks like metal, it's titanium.
And the shaft is tungsten carbide, is that right?
Exactly, yeah, right.
Lovely. So how do we put it back together?
You have to make sure that the bearing is deep enough in that seat, and of course, the right way.
Yep, so O-ring first.
Yep, and then just reverse everything, so grab the impeller wheel with your fingertips and then slowly go in, because the magnets will pull the rotor into the motor block, as you can see.
Yeah, I think that's for anybody who's not used an Abyzz before, the magnet strength is pretty awesome. They are super, super strong, and we're only on the little one. Yeah. We'll see in a minute when we get to the A1200 how powerful that thing is when it's two people to get it out. Okay, so we've popped it back in. What's next?
Yeah, then the A shield has to be far enough in, so with a little wobbling, it will pop in, and then of course you can see that's not it.
Yep, so it's slightly.
You have to position wonky. The A shield and then push it in, and it should be almost one level with that surface.
And this little hole here, is that that's the entrance channel we were talking about?
Yeah, the entrance of the flushing channel.
So the water flows in through there and then back over the rotor, through the bearings, etc., and back out again.
Right.
The downside of making pumps that last a really, really long time is, everybody knows about spare O-rings and that they have to change them every now and then, but actually with ours, you do eventually have to change them because they live quite a while. So good advice.
So these O-rings, so the red ones we are using is silicone, and to be honest, I don't remember having to change one of those in 15 years.
Yeah, fair enough.
I'm serious. Just lay it on, and then you can see if there's like a gap or something, or a kink or bend or whatever. That might be a problem. So in this case, all is good. So we can put on that volute cover. Yeah, position it that way, and then you have to push towards the motor block and of course twist until this is hitting the bayonet ring. And then if you want, you can do this to hear if there's any
top
leakage.
Tip.
Yeah. If you have the time, you can do quick dry testing.
And what would a dry test include? Just plugging it in, powering it up, letting it run for a couple of % dry to see if it spins?
Yeah, right. Not too fast, of course. So I recommend not faster than 20% for a couple of seconds, of course, not like 10 minutes.
Sure.
Because everything is dry. Yeah, and if you hear scratching noises or whatever, then you might have, done anything wrong or whatever.
Okay, so at that point you want to take it apart and check what you've done. So, okay, cool. All right, so we have the A200. Thanks for going through the 120 with me there. Obviously, this is our next size up, and this definitely is different. So, how do we get her open?
It's completely different, as you can see.
Yeah, there's no bayonet ring for these ones.
Right.
Or any of the bigger ones. It's just the little one we have that, isn't it?
We have 4 screws on that model. And nuts. That's the thing. You need to...
So yeah, in the back there, obviously there's the nut, and they're titanium, so you don't want to lose them.
Right. So, yeah, you have to catch them.
Beautiful, Sasha.
4 nuts, 4 bolts. It's almost as if he's done it before.
Yep, a couple of times. So, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Impeller wheel, it's screwed
yes.
To the shaft, not glued.
And this little hole here, that's the intake, I take it, for the flushing channel inside.
You're so clever.
Oh. What's the safe way to get the impeller out?
Now, in this case, you have to use 2 screwdrivers.
You can't just yank it out?
No.
Too strong?
Too strong.
Okay.
Even on a new pump like that, I don't think you can do that.
Okay, so I think most people are going to be, what? I need screwdrivers to lever it out? But
yeah,
that is perfectly safe, right?
Exactly. You should position the pump like that on a flat surface.
You've got the cable going off the edge.
Off the edge, and you should position yourself like this, so if it might slide, it won't drop.
Okay, so
to
you're
the
holding
floor.
it onto the table there.
Right. So yeah, the 2 screwdrivers, put it below the impeller wheel, so and then just lever it till the A shield pops out. That's it. And the rest of the way you should use your hand. It might take some force with used pumps, of course, if there's some calcification. Grab that impeller wheel with your fingers and pull. And now I see those guys are way too close. So
Yeah.
there it is. All the moving parts from the A200. That's the rotor unit, as we say.
And that's in a very similar way to the little A120. So we've got that bearing in there, a bearing in there, and I assume in this one it's stayed in the pump.
Yes, then you should remove the impeller. Of course, again, check that guy for foreign objects or damages.
Yeah,
right?
and that one's user serviceable, right? So anybody can take that off.
Yeah, absolutely no problem, and you definitely should do that
Yeah. Okay.
once in a while. Check everything for whatever scratches, and of course for limescale.
Yeah, that's the main thing we see. Like I say, is
Definitely,
just
yeah.
lime scale. So
Yeah,
yeah.
that's the biggest enemy of these pumps.
So that is super simple. It's pretty much like the A120 in design there, that we've got the radial bearings either side. Yeah, is there anything else we need to know? This O-ring here again, is that a seal or is it just for the...
That's only for damping.
Yeah, it's only for damping
As
the
said,
A
only
shield.
the red O-ring over there.
That's the only one doing the sealing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course, the rear radial bearing down in the motor block should be all the way in. Just give it a knock.
And
So it can
O-ring
be sure.
first as well?
Definitely.
Yeah, cool.
As on all pumps.
And is
The
there a
bolt,
specific torque value that
Oh, yeah.
that nut should be done to?
it is. You need to tighten that screw with 3 Newton meters, not less. But also, of course, not like, you know...
And 3 Newton meters isn't very much, really, you know. I guess
Yeah,
you
right.
could do more damage with your hand if you went over that.
Yeah, definitely. And don't forget the screws from titanium, and you know you can easily rip that apart.
So, 3 Newton meters.
Click.
Lovely.
Putting it back in, maybe you should consider greasing that O-ring, because over the years it will get, you know, hard.
Yeah.
And
And
then,
that's just to support the A shield again, to get it in the right place, right?
yeah, so it won't wobble too much. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Because I will put it in now, and then you see you have to, you know, pull against.
It really does suck it in when you put that in.
Yeah,
there.
right.
You can see that.
And then you can only put that A shield in one position.
Yeah, I can see it's keyed, and there's a little
Right.
little mark there.
So now the O-ring comes into play that I just showed you. You need to push it in to the gap pipe, as we say, so the big bore inside the motor.
Yeah.
So now push it in.
And that's just physically pushing the whole assembly, and you
Yeah,
can push it
you
on
can-
the impeller wheel as
Exactly.
well.
Yeah, well,
Cool.
That's cool. Yeah, you can. You can use your whole body weight, no problem. But of course, if you feel, you know, too much resistance, something might
Something's
be
wrong,
wrong.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So again, almost one level. That's it.
Brilliant. And as well, you can install that in different positions, right?
Oh yeah.
So if you've got pipe work that needs to come off sideways, you might be feeding a skimmer or a reactor or something. Don't do some horrible pipe work and have like 390 degrees to get it sideways. Just turn the volute round. Is there a specific torque value for the nuts?
No. This time it's
Just
not.
Hand tight.
Hand tight, right?
Yeah.
It should be equally. They should be equally tightened. If possible, in the service we say as long as the volute is not leaking, it's, you know, tightened enough.
Cool.
That's it.
All right. So this is the A400, which is the bigger brother of the A200, and they're pretty much the same, right? If you can do it
Pretty
on an
much, yeah.
A200, like we've shown, I guess we can do it on here. But is there any differences anybody needs to know?
Of course, the size, it's the A400 is longer, so the moving parts or the rotor, so the titanium magnet body is longer.
And I guess it's a bit stronger, right? In terms
Yes, of course, right?
pulling it out.
Yeah. So The A shield is the same. The impeller wheel is the same. The bearings are the same. Yeah, only like the shaft and the whole rotor package is longer.
But in terms of getting everything out, the same process as the A200.
Everything the same.
Okay. That makes that one easy.
One little detail.
Right.
So the bolts, they don't have a nut. The threads are in that glass fiber reinforced.
Okay, so they're in the body. So yeah. Again, just hand tighten, I take it.
Exactly. Right.
Yeah.
So you cannot, get new nuts or something. So
sure.
You should not use too much force.
Yeah. So this is the A1200, the biggest pump that we have currently. Taking this one apart is definitely a bit different, and I need to learn here. So take it away.
Yeah, as you can see, it's a big boy, 16 kilos of weight, and of course the rotor is really strong.
Really, really strong.
You need a second person to at least reassemble it. As you can see, 8 screws on the volute cover because a lot of power needs to be,
Yeah, it's a bit of a monster, this one.
Yeah, it is.
So we've got bolts, nuts on the back. How do we get it open?
You need to get rid of the foot section first. That's easy. And then position it again like the other 2 pumps on its back. And please don't let it drop.
Yeah, and cable hanging over the table so it's not squashing it.
Since there are 8 screws, you should use a power tool like this. Wrong way. Bolts are nuts.
So yeah, the volute on here is milled from one great big piece of PVC.
Yeah, that's right.
So this kind of looks a little bit similar to the 200 and 400, but what are the main differences in getting this one out compared to the other ones?
You have to first get rid of the impeller.
Okay, so you have to take that out of the equation.
You have to.
Unlike the other ones, they can stay in.
No way around. So 5mm hex tool.
Out she comes. Nice and easy. So again, I guess you can check for damages, snails, anything getting in there.
Of course. Surprise. A red.
Nice big O-ring, yeah. So there's nowhere to lever in this one, so how do you do it?
Yeah, you can see these threads inside the A-shield.
Yeah, so there's 4 on there. What do you do?
You need 2 metric 8mm bolts to get it out.
Bolts.
Power tool. Of course, you have to do it equally.
Levering it out a little bit at a time.
Yep. Until that happens. Now you can grab the A-shield by these bolts and pull it out. And already at this point, if you feel any, resistance, you can be sure that something is inside the bearing.
Yep.
And in
so
most cases,
that's the same as these little guys from the A120 compared to the A1200. Yeah. So there's a massive magnet in there. What are we going to do?
Now that I have you with me, maybe you can, hold the motor block down, and I can try to get that fella out. First step, and
there we go. Whew. So I guess if that's going to be calcified and in there pretty crusty, definitely going to want to soak it with a Abyzz magic powder.
Right, and maybe you can, put the impeller back on and then lever on it below that guy, or just call Abyzz service.
Yeah, absolutely. In any case, in any of these processes, we can do it for you if you need us to.
Even the smallest question, just feel free to call us. Absolutely no problem. Every time you remove the rotor from the pump, you have to make sure that everything, metal or steel, is in a decent distance.
So I guess that's just so it doesn't damage the casing and
Yeah, right.
get through there.
Because that's pretty thin titanium, so it could cause some damage.
So I guess just like the other pumps, there's the flushing channel in there, and otherwise it's essentially the same, just much, much larger.
Oh yeah, here you can see wear on the shaft. So everything everywhere where it's polished, you can tell this is not a brand new shaft.
And that's normal, I take it?
Yeah, right. So everything that's not polished is getting matte, as you can see. So, but that's absolutely normal.
Okay. So I guess just like the other pumps, assembly is the reverse of disassembly. Is there anything we need to know before we get it? Oh, does the big back bearing come out often?
The big bearing, yeah. This has to be in the right position as well. So you can use a hammer, knock it down, just to make sure it's in there deep enough.
Yeah.
Because that's
Does it often come out with the shaft?
With that pump model, not really.
Okay. Do you want me to hold it?
Yes, please.
Right. Definitely. Go for it.
So,
I'd be scared of that big magnet, to be honest.
You just have to make sure that, you know, you won't get your hand or whatever skin
just trapped on the way in.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
So hold it with 2 hands and, you know, make yourself aware of the force that will come.
Yeah, I can feel
all of a sudden
tensing it, and then
there it is. What you want to avoid is that the shaft will hit the bearing. That might damage it. That's nothing you want. So it's back in, then a shield.
Okay, so
also
they line up, I guess.
Yeah, right. You have this notch, and then you can, you know, that was easy. Push it down all the way in, and again, the A shield should be one level with this flange part.
Yeah,
that's actually it.
So the little black one that's in there, if that doesn't go in nicely, that O-ring might not be in place. All right, so I guess then, is it the impeller wheel next? Again, that's keyed like the other ones, so I guess he goes. Lovely.
Yep. Bolt. And with this bolt, you have to use 8 Newton meters of torque.
Okay.
Don't need to do that right now.
I was going to say that the internal torque setting there.
With the positioning of the volute cover, it should be like 180 degrees. So the outlet 180 degrees to the cable.
And with this one, can we set it at a different angle? Or do you do that with the phone?
So the pump head or the volute would go on the pump in only one position. So which is the outlet 180 degrees to the cable on the bottom. Okay, good to know. And for the bolts, when you tighten them up, is there a torque setting for these, or is it just? So it's actually the same as the other pumps.
So you're just tightening them down, essentially, hand tight.
Yeah, right.
And as long as it doesn't
hand tight. The important thing is to do it crosswise, not like clockwise or something. That's
so I guess that just spreads the pressure as you're tightening it up. Okay. A little tool tip, because everybody's got a different screwdriver and the torque settings on there, and obviously Zasha is an absolute legend and knows what he's doing, and I don't. A really useful tip is if you are using an Allen key or hex key, depending where you're from, if you use the short side and tighten it down, as pretty much as hard as you can go on the short side, you won't over tighten the bolts. Obviously, if you go the long way, you can put a lot more torque on there and really over tighten them. So if you're not using or don't use a screwdriver in that sense in the same way, just finish it off with the a little Allen key on the short side and you won't over tighten it. So I guess if you want to learn about the Abyzz Magic Powder, check out our Abyzz Magic Powder video on how to clean them. Alex did a really great video in English and in German on how to use it to do all of the descaling that we've been talking about. Because like I say, you know, I know I've got a customer's phone up and say, hey, what's going on with this? And pretty much 95% of the time it's time and lime scale that's slowed things down. So definitely need to use it. Those are all tightened now. Is there anything else we need to do, or is he ready to go back in service?
No, that's it. Maybe you have the time to do a little dry testing if everything sounds right.
Yeah.
You know, before putting it back on the system.
And again, is that just under 20%, couple of
Yes,
seconds,
right.
just to make sure everything's rotating, because you can see it.
Also a blow test, Sasha?
Can you get your lips around it? And we can't install the volute on this one in a different position, but we can put it in a different position on the pump, on the
right.
foot. So again, if you didn't see Alex's plumbing video and people trying to use 3 or 4 90s to get around, you can just turn the pump and put the foot on a different way. So you can fire it that way.
Easy.
All good. Thank you very much for watching our videos. Don't forget to hit subscribe, give us a like, and leave us some great comments if you want to learn more or check out or find out different things. Also, if you have any support inquiries, you can email support@abyzz.com, and Sasha and the team will take care of you and we'll help you out. All right, we'll catch you in the next one. Thanks for watching.